I shot him 6 times.
What's going on, horror fanatics? Welcome to
I shot him 6 times.
YouTube Horror Movie Channel. As you know, I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. If you have not done so already, please shoot this video a like. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm a ton. As well as if you're a new viewer to this channel, please shoot that subscribe button as well as that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. As well as if you'd like to become a member here to the channel, shoot over to the channel dashboard, shoot that join button, and choose what level membership best suits you. Okay, everyone, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about some Saw X and some details that have emerged over the past week. And I want to give a shout out to my buddy Eric from the Bearded Entertainment, because we were on a live stream and we were having a conversation and we kind of veered off into talking a little bit about some Saw X. He gave me a little bit of details regarding a Twitter post from viewer Anon that stated that a friend of his at Lionsgate says that it is finished and it's the best movie in the series. So of course I did my due diligence, went over to check this post out, and over the last couple days I have been talking about it in live streams, you know, basically a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, Friday I maybe talked about it for like 30 minutes or so, and I went on to state like, hey, you know, that's cool, sounds good, but we have to keep in mind this is somebody who works for the studio. As viewer Anon stated, this is a friend of his who works at Lionsgate. So I'm not to say that person is lying, but this is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to build hype for the film. So we can't take what this person says because they work for the actual studio who is distributing the film. We can't take what they say as, oh my god, Saw X is really going to be better than the original or the best in the entire series. You know, it's just like with test screeners and all that stuff. Like, yes, you know, are they a good source to kind of get a clue on how the movie's going to go? Sure. But at the same time, it's just like you're listening for somebody else's opinion to dictate what you're going to view about this film. And I don't think that's the way to go. So, nothing against test screeners or anybody like that. You know what I mean? But everybody has their own opinion on how they're going to feel about the movie. Like, the test screeners could see this version of Saw X, right? It could be the exact same version that they release in theaters, and if test screeners say they didn't like it, we could actually love it. So we're always going to go into these movies with our own perspective and our own point of view on how we feel about it, is basically what I'm trying to say. So with all that being said, I also found another interesting post that was posted a few days before this one, or no, the day after this one, I should say, from viewer Anon, that goes on to state, and he actually posts a Q&A from Josh Stolberg, who is involved with Saw X. And the first post that he has on June 5th, as you can see, it says, I think the extra weight will be rewarding for fans. The pre-Spiral iteration came about when Lionsgate was scared of alienating potential new fans. So, it was very self-contained. I believe the new version will be much more satisfying in terms of lore and continuity. He then follows it up later by captioning a Q&A from Josh Stolberg by saying he ain't lying. A midquel, however you pronounce that, or mid-equal, centered on John Kramer, had a completed screenplay before Spiral was a gleam in its daddy's eye. So let's dig into the Q&A here from Josh Stolberg. Question: was it always called Saw X? No. We first started pursuing this storyline before Spiral. At the time, it was Saw 9. When we first pitched the story. In our pitch document, it was simply called John Kramer. We've never been able to make Kramer's story. This is it. Okay, everyone. Now, this is really interesting in my opinion, because I said one of the reasons why Saw X has the potential to be better than the original is because story. You know, you have a lot of the original characters coming back, I assume, even ones that say they're not going to be a part of this film, like Cary Ells. I expect his character, Dr. Gordon, to make an appearance because he fits in this timeline. He fits in the entire series because he was revealed to be involved with John Kramer since Saw 2. You know, so Adam Stanheight, again, guys, like all the past characters, but the story. The story is the most important thing. And in all honesty, this has been one of the most concerning things for me about this movie and about the return of Tobin Bell as John Kramer. Now, this is not a knock on this legendary, iconic character or the actor who plays it. Not a knock on it at all. But I have stated in previous Saw videos, or at least live stream discussions, stuff like that, that my issue with this whole idea of having a John Kramer story, as you even heard Josh Stolberg, or at least seen in this post from Viewer Anon, that Josh Stolberg said, he said this is basically the John Kramer story. The issue I have with this is we have that over 7 long films. Yes, were a lot of the content in flashbacks? Sure. But you got the gist of what John Kramer's story was. He was a guy who, he was like a manufacturer. He was a really good, guy who knew how to build stuff, all those traps. Obviously, that's how you knew how to build the traps. So he was married. He had, Jill Tuck. They had a kid. And then what happens? Amanda Young, who was, in a rehab clinic at that time, the same one his wife was working at, her and her boyfriend break out. They accidentally basically shove the door into Jill Tuck and the baby in her stomach, and then the baby ends up obviously, unfortunately passing. And then that's what led John Kramer, as well as trying to commit harm on himself. I'll put it in that way because the YouTube algorithm. But after trying to do that, he survived, and that led him to value his life and then preach this sinister way for other people to value their lives as well. And the whole idea that this is the John Kramer story in Saw X is, in my opinion, for me, and I feel like for many Saw fans, in so many ways should be a little bit alarming. Because again, we have this in 7 films. We know his story. Now, could they go back and retcon certain stuff? Could they go back and maybe introduce us to something we did not know? Sure. I'm not saying they can't. But my whole issue is how's that going to be a gain for the franchise to keep moving forward? In so many ways, it sounds like we are recycling the same thing, the same formula, because Jigsaw and Spiral didn't do that well, even though I personally thought Spiral was a good movie. They didn't do that well, which is why they brought back Tobin Bell and the John Kramer character, as well as because that's the theme now ever since Halloween 2018. That film, as we know, set a precedence for having these iconic horror franchise bring back legacy characters and surround them with new characters. So I kind of knew this was coming for the Saw franchise, but given that this film is being set between Saw 1 and Saw 2, and they're calling it the John Kramer story, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's concerning. It really is, because it's just like we have this already, and I really want to see something different. This is why I liked Spiral as opposed to Jigsaw, because Spiral didn't include John Kramer only in pictures and only through words. They didn't make it as if Shank, even though I do believe he does have some connection to John Kramer in person, they didn't reveal that like they did in Jigsaw, which is why I didn't like Jigsaw, because it's like, now you're just trying to find new stories to tell that wasn't brought up in the original storyline to begin with. Jigsaw had, Logan was the first real accomplice of Jigsaw. Like, I didn't like that. I liked the whole idea that Shank took inspiration, even though, again, I do think he had some real life contact with John Kramer, because if you add up those timelines, especially when his father was killed, that's around the time John Kramer started doing all the traps and all that stuff. So with that being said, the fact that we didn't get no reveal that Shank was one of the original accomplices with John Kramer like we did with Logan, that's why I liked Spiral a lot better. And I felt the ending to Spiral, how it played out, was it like Saw 1? No, but it made me feel the shock value, finding out why this was happening and how this was going to turn out. The shock value definitely did it for me, and it's up there as one of my top Saw franchise endings. It might even be number 2. I have to I have to go back and do my ranking and solidify that. But again, like, I don't know, guys. Like, I love this franchise. I'm gonna go watch it, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. In my opinion, this is, if you're a Saw fan, the fact that we have 7 films, and you can even say 8 because of Jigsaw, because they revealed that Logan was involved with John Kramer and he was in that movie via flashbacks, but Tobin was in that movie. We have 8 films that tells John Kramer's story. Do you really want to go through all this again? Especially if all they're gonna do is reveal something about him that maybe we didn't know. I don't know. In my opinion, if you're gonna go that route, you're gonna have to pull something really epic off. And I feel like that's putting a lot of pressure, unnecessary pressure, on the film itself. So, I don't know, guys. I'm going to keep you guys updated with some more Saw X content, but I wanted to get this video out and stuff like that. But, yeah, I'm here for it. We're going to keep updated on it. It's going to be a fun ride, and we will see when we get there how this John Kramer story is going to play out now in Saw X. But okay, everyone, that is it for this video. Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts on Saw X. Do you believe it has the potential to be the best in the franchise? As well as let me know your thoughts on Saw X being the quote-unquote John Kramer story. Once again, this is
I shot him 6 times.
YouTube Horror Movie Channel. As you know, I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. Thank you all for watching.